Okay. There are a lot of myths, I guess, when it comes to English. Okay, because when you talk about the four skills, the first thing is listening. It's just like uh, a baby's journey. Okay,
Mm,
first a baby would listen to his or her mom speak, and then afterwards, the baby will actually start imitating the mom. Okay, that's when speaking comes,
mm,
and then uh, uh, when babies start going to school, then they learn to read. So basically, to figure out the meanings behind the symbols.
mm.
Okay, so that's a form of communication, and then of course, writing, okay, comes last. Okay. Um, Many parents actually think that as long as their children speak English, can speak English well, can be understood, that's enough. But
Okay.
actually, it's not enough.
You talk about stage of learning here. They learn about language first and then continue the next step. Is that what you mean?
What do you mean by the next step?
Stage of learning. They learn about language at the age of one, maybe until six, for example. Is that the myth that you are talking?
No, no, no. The myth is parents think that as long as you can speak English, well, probably not just parents, but most people think as long as you can speak the language, that's enough.
Okay.
So I guess, I mean, it might be enough. Depends what you want to do in your life, though.
Yeah.
If you want to know more, learn more, that means you have to read,
Mm.
right? Even though it's from the internet. Okay, there are documents, there are magazines, documents on the internet, and you have to read it. Um, so if you want to learn more, you need to read. Okay? And then, of course, if you are thinking of studying overseas, then you have to write because it's a form of communication. How do you actually communicate your thoughts and ideas in an academic setting? Okay, that's probably the highest. That's why it is actually the last skill, and also probably the most difficult to attain, especially if you don't read. Yeah, reading and writing, unfortunately, they are actually interconnected. If you don't read much, then you can't write well.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess it depends on your goal. What's your goal in studying a language, learning a language? Is it just to communicate orally, verbally? Then
Mm.
yeah, go ahead. As long as you can speak, yes. But then there are other things beside speaking. There are things like culture, for example, concepts, for example. Okay, those are abstract things, and you don't actually learn about those things in conversations. You usually have to study from a reading material.
Mm.
So
So you mean like when we want to continue our study in another country or at least in Indonesia, like postgraduate study, so they need to understand the the text or document in English. So it depends on
yeah,
the situation, yeah.
yes. Even if you're studying in Indonesia, like I know students from ITB, they read a lot of textbooks in English.
Mm,
And whenever I have ITB students as my ITB students in my class, I can tell their reading level is really high.
mm,
Yeah. And then the writing is not that bad
mm.
because they read a lot. So, yeah. So, again, back to what is your goal?
Yeah. Talking about the what's that? The ability of students. I had an experience also when I checked their writing. I think the worst thing about their skill is about writing, especially grammar. But
Mhm.
maybe many people or many students also think that grammar is not too important. So do you think the weakest skill of Indonesian student is about writing and reading maybe?
Yes. I know Indonesian people don't like to read. That's
Mm,
why. If they don't read in Indonesian, then they won't read in English either.
Mm.
So that's why. Yeah.
So how to come up with that problem? Do you think to just to make up their mind to improve more to understand what kind of basic skill they should do or they should have?
Um, in my experience, it usually comes down to motivation.
Mm.
Do you have the motivation to actually improve your English? If you don't, if you don't really care, as long as you can, I don't know, imitate some foreigner's accent, you think that's enough, then yeah, well, that's good for you, I'd say. But if you want to improve it, then make the effort, like I did watching Little House on the Prairie or other TV shows. I had to turn up the volume. Sometimes my parents said, "Turn it down." Okay, but yeah, you do have to make the effort. You can't just think that, oh, my English is okay. Okay, well, probably it's not until you try to communicate with an English speaking person then you can tell that, oh, my English is terrible. So what do you want to do? If you think your English is already good enough, try watching the BBC or CNN.
Mm.
See if you can understand it, and if you don't understand it, that means your English is not that good. Yeah. So yes, make the effort. Nowadays, actually, there's no excuse not to. Uh, there's no excuse not being able to access resources. I only had a Little House on the Prairie
Mm.
and then
Yeah, yeah.
Snoopy. Okay? But
That's what I
nowadays you
want
have
to
the
talk about.
internet.
That's what
Yeah.
I want to talk about. With many resources around us right now, what do you think your suggestion for a new English learner, especially Indonesian people? How do you start and how do you improve with many different
Um,
resources?
I guess it depends what you want to improve. If you want to improve your listening, then listen. Watching YouTube, for example. I know you can access some movies there, and then if there are subtitles, go ahead and probably read as you watch the movie, read the subtitles,
Mm.
because in that way you're actually reading as well. Yeah, not
Mm.
just watching. Okay, so read the subtitles as well. So that's one. That is if you want to improve your listening.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe
with
like
videos as well.
like many Indonesian people like K-pop, for example, they watch movie and the subtitle is in English, so directly they learn how to read, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So it means
So that's
that.
listening.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then speaking. Okay, there are different ways. I guess social media is one of them. You can probably try to get friends on Facebook, Instagram, and then try to communicate with them. You can do that because nowadays you have Skype, you have
Mm.
Facebook, Messenger, etc. So you can try. You can just say, can I practice your English with you? Can we have a video call or
Mm.
even Zoom? So that's speaking. For reading, again, there's lots of material on the internet that you can read.
So
A
it's
lot of
kind of blessing
PDF.
for the people right now to learn about language, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then how can we motivate the students actually or a person until they can understand or it it depends on them again or there is a kind of supporting every time.
So are you thinking about teachers then? English
Yeah,
teachers?
because I feel it is very hard to motivate them until they understand about our philosophy of teaching. For example,
Mm-hmm.
when I ask them to write I I is always capital, right? But many times they forget about it or they don't want to write about it because I think
Mm-hmm.
it is very basic. They should understand about capitalization, but they keep making a mistake or making a writing wrong. So, what do you think about that? Motivating them to keep doing it right.
Motivate the students. Okay. I usually start with why. Why they need to write good English, why they need to learn good grammar. Yeah. I know my students, especially with the SAT, I usually tell them why they need to write the essay, for example. Okay. Because it is a form of communication. Um, yes, it's fine if you actually can speak and express your ideas, but then to be able to communicate your ideas globally, like in a university setting, then you actually need to write well. And um, and also, I usually tell them, okay, grammar does make a difference because grammar actually changes meaning.
Mm,
I know Indonesians actually are very, many of them have difficulty with tenses, for example. Yeah. Uh, and I usually tell them, okay, there is a difference in meaning if you say, I, I ate rice and I ate rice. There's a difference in meaning. Okay, so what you don't want to do is actually make people misunderstand you, and it because it does create a misunderstanding when you don't use the correct grammar. Okay. In speaking as well as in writing. Not even that, I guess. Yes, grammar, of course. When you say I eat rice and I ate rice, then people will think if you say I eat rice, then okay, you eat it every day. But then when you say I ate rice, and they will think that when did you have it? So you don't have it every day. So did you have it yesterday? Did you have it last night? Okay, so that's the big difference in meaning. Do you want people to misunderstand you or not?
mm,
Because language is communication.
mm.
Okay, um, I don't know whether it is possible with Indonesian schools, but I would encourage the teachers to actually speak English.
Yeah, that's another problem also. When I okay, this is my experience. So at the first semester, I let them speak in Indonesian and English because, for example, for 10th graders, yeah, in senior high school, and then I changed my decision in the second semester. Okay, you should keep speaking in English. But what happened? They didn't want to speak with me. They didn't want to ask. And we connected with also about making mistakes. They they don't want to make mistake, and then the other student laugh at them. So
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
the problem that we face actually. I don't know in another school, but as long as I experience about it,
Yeah,
that's a kind of what's it physiological problem about Indonesian students. So you think,
there's a shame culture in Indonesia.
yeah,
Yeah, so I'd say to teachers don't stop speaking English, and also um, make sure that you compliment the students when they speak English. Okay, and
yeah, that's
when
right.
they're
Compliment is very important also.
hmm when the classmates actually laughed at them, then you can tell them that why are you laughing at them? He is making an effort
Mm,
to actually master a language. Okay, if you don't use it, this is an English saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. Okay,
mhm,
so that's what native speakers say. It's not just about language. It's with anything, but specifically with language, if you don't use it, you lose it. Okay, so um, yeah, the shame culture actually try to turn it around. Okay, if someone is trying to speak English, maybe reward them
yeah.
in a sense. And so compliment as well as I don't know. There's a reward system, whatever is allowed in your school.
But
So
it's not compliment in my school.
yeah, yeah.
Reward will become a problem later after that. Yes, maybe become a big problem.
Yeah, yeah, can be, but also depends. I guess the boys are actually more competitive, so maybe it will motivate them, but probably reward them with not with something tangible,
Mm.
maybe with something else. Okay, I don't know, something educational, maybe. Okay. Um, what else? Okay, teachers. Um, I'm sad to say that even lecturers in university don't all speak English when they teach. I
Okay.
don't know why,
Yeah, that is a
but
fact, right?
yes, unfortunately. So, um, I guess with if you're if you're teaching English, you actually need to. Hmm, First of all, you actually need to believe that what you're teaching is actually valuable,
Mm.
that it's good for the students.
Yeah.
And one way of showing them is actually to speak it, use the
Um,
subject that
yeah.
you're teaching.
Actually, I believe that Indonesian students are good at learning English also because the fact is when I ask them to present about something, to speak about something, in case of test, they can do it well. So that's why it make me confused about the fact that they don't want to speak with me in a daily life.
Yeah, I think it's cultural. Um,
Yeah.
you know how I don't know whether you've ever seen the. It's kind of like a not a meme, but actually like presentations. The difference between Western culture and Eastern culture. So with Western culture, it's all about the individual. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether you are different from others as long as you are being yourself.
Mm.
But with Eastern culture, if you're different, then
Mm.
it's a shameful thing.
Yeah.
So it is
Di-
cultural as well. So
Different here means maybe have more skill or have more ability or we have a deep
it
meaning,
can be. It
understanding
can be.
about it.
It can be. Like for example, in Australia, they have the tall poppy syndrome. The tall poppy syndrome is basically um, if you are actually good at something and then you actually show it off, people won't like you because it's like oh, it's trying to. It's like in a field of poppies, in a field of flowers, there's
Mm.
actually one that's tall, one that
Yeah.
stands out, and that's not good in
Mm.
Australian culture.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
so I guess it's similar. I think
Mm.
it's similar here too. Yeah. Oh yeah. People will probably make fun of the Aussies will sometimes will make fun of anyone who is different. Okay. No, it's probably not so bad now. Okay, but there is still that tendency to make a joke about someone who has accomplished something.
Mm.
So probably in here as well, it's like, oh, you're showing off, etc. Blah blah blah. Okay, so maybe that's why I don't want to sound like I'm showing off. I don't want to be different. Yeah. So yeah, what's the word? Modesty, I guess,
Mm.
is like a big deal here. Yeah. People don't actually like others who show off. So uh, it's not just it can even be with physical things like
Mm.
showing off your new car or showing off your whatever new motorbike or something like that. Um, People actually don't like it when you show off because I'm not too sure why actually. It's probably because they're jealous or something.
So,
So
so we should keep an understanding here that to be different is not a bad, right?
hmm and also to make mistakes is fine.
Mm.
Because yeah, many people. I know many of my students when I was teaching English in a language center said, "I don't want to make mistakes." And I said, "There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, then you're not learning
Yeah,
anything."
yeah, yeah. I agree.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's more cultural than a kind of jealousy feeling, yeah, according to your
can be both.
conclusion.
I think it depends.
Mm.
People get insecure, maybe because okay, if you show that you can't speak English, then the others will think, oh, my English is so bad.
Even
Can be.
according to my experience, someone also said that this person is my favorite student. They have the word favorite here. What does it mean actually? Do you think that I like this person and then I talk to them very much compared to you? So yeah, maybe jealousy and then
Mhm.
another maybe can be weakness also. Yeah. Okay.
I think,
Hmm?
yeah, it's and also it's teenagers,
Yeah.
especially, that's
Mm,
difficult. Yes, they do get insecure, they do get jealous easily because that's their age as well.
mm.
So it's not so much with university students because I've dealt a lot with university students. It's not like that. It's a bit different. So high
Yeah.
school,
They already
that's
have the
the age.
purpose, right?
Mm.
Mm. Okay. Maybe the last question. What do you think is the challenge of Indonesian people to learn English in this era compared to okay.
It's a good question.
Mm.
Um, when I was in high school, um, everything is available. I think that's the challenge. And also the because Indonesians do not read. Okay, it is a challenge in a sense because reading is actually learning, right?
Mm.
So there's an attitude about reading. There's an attitude, bad, a negative attitude about reading and learning in general. So I think that's a challenge because most people don't like learning, or
Mm.
probably there's a negative connotation to learning. Okay? So I think that's a challenge, the biggest challenge. I think because parents, if if the parents don't actually have a good attitude about learning, then the students won't have a good attitude about learning
You don't want
most of the
to do
time.
more than that, right?
Yeah, so they're just, I guess, go with the flow. Okay, this is all I can do. Okay, I can't do anything else, and I don't want to do more. I don't want to make the extra effort because probably because what's the point? What's the purpose? Okay, so if the parents have that kind of attitude, then most of the time the children will have the same attitude.
Mm.
So I think that's the biggest challenge. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially because nowadays they have the internet and they think, oh, I can get whatever I want on the internet. So there's no need to study, there's no need to make the effort. All I have to do is just Google something.
Okay. I remember one thing when you talk about reading. Actually,
Hmm.
sometimes I try to use a reading comprehension test, and it is quite hard, right? And then I put there a kind of story, but in a Western culture, and then only one person who can get a good grade. And then I asked her, how can you answer this? Actually, all of your friends here cannot answer it well. And then she said, because I read English book many times, novel especially. So
Hmm.
maybe the problem here is about the context, understanding the context, right? Uh,
With reading as well, I think it's a level, especially if in local schools they don't actually separate according to English levels,
mm,
unfortunately.
mm,
So probably, um, my suggestion is for English teachers, especially when you start with a new class, start with a test to figure out where they are, where their English level is, okay, and try to find somewhere in the middle,
mm.
okay, and then start giving them passages in that level. Yeah, and then once everyone more or less gets that level, and then you actually go with a more difficult level, slightly more difficult, and then slightly more difficult, etc. So in that way, actually, it does help your students because it is difficult when you have different English levels in your class. You
Yeah.
know.
I think the problem also is when I try to conclude is they try only think about score. Do you take the score? If you put something difficult, can we do it? It can be bad for us. So that's what make me sometimes I give up on giving them more challenge, like higher text, for example, and
Hmm.
then I come back to the previous book and just do my normal thing. So
Mm.
it's kind of problem also for me sometimes.
Hmm.
Even they are smart. Some of them are smart. For example, when I teach science students, because they use their logical mode. But it's the same. It's about culture again. I think if we give them challenge, more challenge, maybe they will not agree about it. Even I don't give a score for it. So what do you think about it?
What do you mean by score? Like
Yeah,
quizzes?
take the academic score. They feel afraid to get a bad score because I give more challenge about it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I already teach them something, and then I try to what's it, make the level up with a certain text, and then when I give this challenge, if I ask them, they will not agree with it because of
They won't
thinking
do it.
about the score. Yeah, they won't do it.
Okay.
Let's say I give them
So,
option. Okay, do you want to do this or this?
ah.
I have ever tried that and it doesn't work. It didn't work well.
So why not make it compulsory, not an option?
Yeah, it's just a kind of what is it? Sometimes I'm thinking about their like what you said, different level. I want to
Hmm.
know whether this person really have that level or not. Just to give the challenge. At the end, of
Hmm.
course, I will decide again which score that I should take.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the fact.
Hmm.
I don't know. It
Hmm.
is generally the same with other Indonesian students, or it's just on my school before.
I think it's pretty much like that in Indonesia, whether whatever school they go to. Like I said, the again a negative connotation about learning. They don't, um, they're not. We're not trained to work hard to
Mhm.
make extra efforts. Okay, if there's an easy way out, let's do it. That's usually the
Yeah, yeah,
attitude.
that's what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. So yes, the challenge is mainly cultural, I think.
Mm.
And yeah, unfortunately, the parents. Okay, I always think, you know, when you're a teacher, you actually get the, I don't know, the baggage in parenting baggage. You know, if the parents are not doing a great job, then we actually get to suffer because we see all kinds of students every day. You
Yeah.
know,
Mm.
and so we know that okay, this person, this kid, okay, his parents or her parents probably teach them blah blah blah. You can actually tell from their attitude when they come to class. So I think that's a challenge. It's mainly cultural. I mean, um, I'm dealing with students who want to go overseas to study.
Mm.
It's still the same attitude. They always want the easy way out,
Yeah, that's
especially
problem.
parents.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah. So even when they go to university, my institution always tells them, okay, don't do don't do the easy way. Do it the challenging way. It's like because nowadays there are actually institutions that offer what is it, like a bridge. Okay, so I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, that
From
one.
high school to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
college,
They
and then from
directly go
college to
after
university.
inner high school, for example.
Yeah. Yeah,
without.
so that's the easy way out.
Mm.
Yeah, it's the same with going to the US for study as well. So they can go to community college, and then from community college, then they can transfer to a good university.
So
But
what do
then
you
the thing
think?
is,
What do you think the consequences if we do that kind of decision in foreign
again,
countries,
it's
for
the easy
example?
way out.
So no matter what, you just let it happen.
Well, I know in my institution we're trying to educate the parents, especially
Mm.
don't do this, do that, but it's difficult, because it takes generations to
You
do it.
mean it will be suffering for the person actually, right?
For the students,
Yeah, for the students, right?
yeah, it's like, if there's an easy way out, do it. Don't make extra efforts if you can help it. That's the message that we're sending
Yeah,
if
yeah.
we keep doing it. Yeah.
So it is
So,
the context of let's say Western culture, right?
what do you mean by that?
I mean to have extra effort with our own hard work, for example, not because
Yeah,
of the
hard work
money
is
or not
actually
because of the
mhm.
bridge, like what you said.
Yeah, hard work is actually a Western value. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I think everything that we have already discussed is very interesting, and that's what I'm thinking so far. Actually, when I prepare the questions and what should I ask you, because I don't really know much about your background beside Unibridge activity actually. So thank you very much, Mrs. Lena, for every information that you have. I think this is my concern also to spread this kind of motivation or information about how to learn English. So anything that you want to say before we close this discussion?
Huh. Um. Well, I actually appreciate your passion about teaching English, Rangoso, and also, all the best for your YouTube channel. I think it's a good idea. I've always wanted to create my own YouTube channel, but I don't have the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, I know there are a lot of YouTube channels out there, trying to get people to to learn English more.
Mm.
So I really appreciate what you're doing. So,
Thank you very much.
and thank you for inviting me. I mean, I don't know if it helps you, or I don't know if it's inspiring or not, but I'm just sharing,
Yes, we hope
what I
about
have.
it, especially for Indonesian students and Indonesian people, how to come up with English learning or teaching. Yeah, maybe
Hmm.
see you next time. Thank you very much and
Okay.
have a nice day. God bless you.
Okay. Thank you. You too.
Bye.